Bobby did us that way that Jacksonville.
Christian takes the lead with a pretty raucous move on Bobby Gill.
Terminus sideways and got by me, and I thought he had one coming down there, and then he just flat turned us again down here. And he pushed up high, and I took a go from him underneath.
Stephen Christian weaving and wobbling all over the front, and look at there!
Which I ain't gonna say I didn't get into him intentionally.
I don't know if there was contact, but Christian goes around.
If I wasn't gonna win, he wasn't gonna win the race.
And welcome to Concord Motorsports Park in Concord, North Carolina. Coverage of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series here on Speed. Tonight, the Jackaroo Sauces 250 presented by the Genio Turkey Store at Concord Motorsports Park. It's the 14th race of the 2002 Southern Division season in the USAR Pro Cup Series. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Gene Crane is alongside, and Doug Rice will be on pit road for us. And Gene, the weather has been a question mark all weekend long here.
It really has, Rick. In fact, I thought we'd probably have to wait and run tomorrow. Weather came into the North Carolina area and has plagued practice, very short practice earlier today. You can see temperatures back up to about 78 degrees, a little bit of a breeze, and of course, definitely a chance of rain sometime during the evening here as the entire state of North Carolina, as well as the East Coast, is plagued with a little bit of inclement weather and tropical storms.
Well, we could see a storm on the racetrack tonight as well. Stephen Christian, Bobby Gill, they've been going at it hard and heavy all season long, started back at Coastal Plains Raceway early in the year. The situation kind of boiled over at USA 2 weeks ago, and we talked to the two drivers.
I mean, you know, people seen what they've seen, and, you know, Steven, he could say what he wants, but if he thinks back at Coastal Plain, how he drove me there on those last few laps, you know, it was all open game then to me. I think what it comes down to is two guys racing as hard as they can to get to the win, and we got to get past that one and go on to the next one, and we're at a place where we're probably going to run together again tonight. So, you know, we're all in it to win the championship. Points-wise, it's more or less decided. Obviously, for him it is. For us, we've got to protect where we are. Try to get lucky and gain one, but that's we're really looking on to Winchester in the last 5 races.
Well, that 5-race Champions Challenge Series that begins in just a week, Gene, these two drivers certainly have some history, and both of them are looking forward to that final run of the season. Tonight, Christian starts back in the 10th row, Gill in the 2nd row, and we're about ready to get going here.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Randy Barger, one of the managers of Food Lion here in North Carolina, the Grand Marshal tonight, putting this field underway. You've watched these two drivers beat, bang, and contend with each other all year. What can we see here tonight?
Well, I think we're going to see a situation, just as Steve mentioned. He's got to protect his position in the points. Bobby Gill comes in. He's already clinched the point championship, if you will, for the Southern Division going into the championship races. So it's going to be a little bit of a protective strategy on the part of Steve Christian, but nonetheless, a narrow racetrack. It's like racing in a curved bowling alley here at Concord.
Well, there's the fuse for the 68 of Mike Laughlin Jr. from South Carolina. Now, by starting tonight, he becomes the 30th driver in South Tour points, and he makes the 5-race championship series.
That's important because the $1 million that's up for grabs for the championship, of course, it's $250,000 for the champion, but any part of that money that you want, you've got to go to those 5 championship races starting next week at Winchester.
Take a look at this most challenging racetrack. It's a triangle and very different corners.
Each corner very different. Your approach to it is very different. Turn 2, which is the dog leg, as it's referred to sometimes in the backstretch. You just crack the whip. You got to stay wide open through there if you want a good run.
Well, the driver on the pole tonight has a lot to prove. Young Clay Rogers out of Mooresville, North Carolina. Our Doug Rice spoke with him earlier.
For the second time this year, Clay Rogers is the Buffalo Nickel pole sitter, this time grabbing the top spot for the Jackaroo Sauces 250 here at the Concord Motorsports Park, a track that you've had a lot of success on in the past, Clay.
Yeah, I've had the advantage of being able to run a lot of laps here in late model cars and won quite a few races out here. And I think that's an advantage coming to this racetrack because it's one of the most difficult ones we race at as far as I'm concerned. And the more laps we have under our belt, I feel like the bigger advantage we'll have over the rest of everybody else.
It's almost like a miniature Pocono Phoenix hybrid, 3 distinct turns, a lot of different bankings. What's the key to getting around here?
Well, you just got to do some unorthodox things that a lot of people don't like to do. And it's pretty hard on the race car, and you got to conserve your tires early in the run because that dog leg being the extra turn and the back straightaway over there, it's really hard on the right side tires. So I just got to thank Pat's Blue Ribbon and Petro Express for helping us out, and we've really put a solid effort into this car and getting it prepared for this racetrack, because it's a very demanding racetrack, and got to make sure everything's going to stay together for 250 laps and stay out front.
Clay Rogers, he'll have a lot of fans here tonight at Concord. He hopes to send them home happy when it's all over.
Second pole award of the year for Clay Rogers. Let's take a look at the season-long standings, the Buffalo Nickel Pole Award.
Very interesting. Jason Sarvis has been very dominant. 6 poles here in 2002 for Sarvis, who has pretty much been runner-up to Bobby Gill all season long.
And your Jackaroo Sauces starting lineup: Rogers on the pole in the 29, Shane Huffman in the Genio Turkeys car out of Hickory. Second row, Jason Sarvis in the 22 from Myrtle Beach, and Bobby Gill, the Dominator, out of Dalton, Georgia, in the 5 car.
Row 3, Hal Goodson on the inside with the Black Tire Service 92, and Shane Wallace on the outside in the Engine Ice number 4. Michael Rich brings the only Mopar to the 7th starting position, the Jackaroo Sauces Intrepid, and alongside him, Kevin Love in the Joe Flo Grading Chevrolet number 60.
5th row, we already saw Mike Laughlin Jr. in the Fuse Ford. Sean Studer, who won on the North Tour last year in car number 71. He's from North Carolina. In the 6th row, the 55, Ricky Rodney Childers out of Mooresville, North Carolina. And from South Boston, Virginia, the 11 of Stacy Puryear, the Babe Trucking Machine.
Row number 7, John Kinder brings the Ratman Hidden Harbor Marina number 16 into the inside, and Greg Marlowe, the Race Kim 49 on the outside. Daniel Johnson, last year's Rookie of the Year, the Chex Cash Casco Signs 56 on the inside of row 8, and Martin Nesbitt, the Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, Lake Electric 80 on the outside.
9th row, the 23 of Toby Robertson, that's a Chevy. Mike Herman Jr. back in car number 34. He's from Kannapolis, North Carolina. 10th row, Chad Mullis from Charlotte, the Mullis Well Drilling Ford. Stephen Christian, we heard from him earlier, from Buford, Georgia, in the Lucas Oil Machine.
J.P. Morgan, the CrewSchool.com 61 inside row 11, joined by Robbie Ferguson in the Dalton Direct Carpets 41. Chris Gordon in the 1-800-B Petty 86 on the inside of row 12, and Andrew Medlin, the Anaco Electrical Construction Ford number 8 on the outside.
13th row, rookie Joe Gaeta in the 06. He's from Virginia in that Chevrolet. And veteran Derek Kelly from Auburndale, Florida, the Discount Auto Parts Taurus, the 21 car. 14th row, Joe Harrison Jr. from Reddick, West Virginia, the Harrison's Automotive Chevy. Larry Wilcox in the 50 from Denver, North Carolina. That's the Perk Chassis Machine.
Back in provisional land, Don Satterfield, the number 1 Hawk Sawblade Chevy, starts in 29th. Michael Struther, the Lone Star Motorsports number 3, is 30th. Mike Williams, World Products number 24, is 31st. And rounding out the field, Jimmy Knoll Jr. in the Griffin Tire Service Center, number 30.
Field warming up the tires. We've got 3 different in-car looks for you here tonight. Shane Huffman has the outside pole in the Genio Turkey Stores 84 car. That is a Ford Taurus. We'll also have a look from the 28 car tonight. 28 machine being driven by Michael Rich from High Point, North Carolina. That's the Jackaroo Sauces car. We've got a rear bumper cam view there. We'll also take a ride tonight with Stephen Christian in the 16. It's the Lucas Oil Machine. He starts pretty deep in the field at 20th. Didn't qualify well at all, Gene.
Didn't qualify well at all, like you said, Greg. They've struggled here this past week. In fact, 2 weeks ago, this Ford blew the motor. The motor essentially blew up, a little bit of water in the oil, so they decided not to run it at Lakeland. So they've been behind the curve, so to speak, and it is shown in their qualifying times.
Hey, get a look at just how unusual the layout is here at Concord Motorsports Park on a day that's been filled with rain, a full house of fans on hand. They love their stock car racing here in the Charlotte area. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway.
Michael Jacobs, randomly selected from the folks at Jackaroo Sauces, getting the opportunity to wave the green flag, and as they scream through that second turn and down to turn 3, Clay Rogers leads Huffman and Sarvis back to the stripe.
Bobby Gill on the outside there in car number 5, trying to pick his way up through the field. Gill, a very patient race car driver. There's Sarvis in the 22. Your leader in that red car, the 29 machine, pole sitter Clay Rogers. Huffman right behind him, then Sarvis, and here comes Gill working the outside. Working up on Hal Goodson, getting by Goodson in the 92.
A lot of give and take here in the early going. Limited practice, as we said at the Open, Rick. Not a good opportunity for many of these teams to dial the cars in, so they're going to see what they've got for the first half of this race and try to adjust the car. The unknown is whether or not weather will be a factor, and if that's the case, you're going to have to get up on the steering wheel and try to put as good a run together early on as possible.
Stacy Puryear in the 11, the silver and red car, a little sideways coming out of turn 3 here. 60 car of Kevin Love, that's the blue machine on the inside. And the 4 car, that's the car of Shane Wallace. Now he's fallen off the pace quickly here.
The 80 car of Nesbitt's back a little ways. Here's the teammate to that car, Jimmy Knoll, Noel, a dirt track driver from over in Mississippi, heading down pit road. Looks like it's going to be a short night for Noel. 60 car Kevin Love is right there in the midst. He's one of 11 drivers who you could pretty much say are alumni from here at the Concord Motorsports Park.
A lot of them. Michael Rich in the 28. He's a driver who's got a lot of laps here. Goodson in the 92. The 68 of Mike Laughlin, he's run here. See Gill going by in fourth. This is for fifth.
Good run early on for Michael Rich and that Dodge. They've got pretty good horsepower being produced out of that race car, but he's having trouble getting the car to turn in the center of the corners. Really had a struggle with it at USA 2 weeks ago. Looks like things are getting better, not quite to his liking. When I walked by and talked to him, he said, yeah, we're just not where we need to be, but they're getting better.
Good battle. Here are the leaders. Everybody chasing Clay Rogers. 22 car of Goodson running in third. He's got Gill filling his mirrors as those three battle for second spot.
Like Bobby Gill testing to see how that bumper cover is attached on the back of Jason's service car.
Oh, one car spins. We've got a caution waving here on lap 8. The 9 car involved. That's Chad Mullis. A couple of cars get tangled up. Stacy Puryear. Some contact going toward the inside of the corner. Puryear having trouble getting the car backed up.
And he was a quick car during practice earlier today. I think he was 5th fastest on the practice charge throughout the afternoon. So this is a tough break for Puryear, running a limited schedule here in the Southern Division.
Badly wrinkled up back bumper cover on that car. Your leader continues to be Clay Rogers. Mullis, left front corner of that car pretty heavily damaged. You'd think he'd have to come to pit road.
And no doubt about it, they're going to have to take a look at that left front tire. But Mullis, a longtime campaigner here at Concord.
So the crew's starting to take a look and see whether they'll need to do some early work. We're at Concord. We'll be back.
The USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series, brought to you by Hooters, the cure for the common restaurant. Top your salad with preservative-free, naturally fresh dressing. Look for it in your supermarket's produce section. By Miller Lite, the official sponsor of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series. And by Lucas Oil Products, a leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants.
Back at Concord Motorsports Park on speed, the black flag waving after that incident in turn 3. Chad Mullis got the worst of it by far, but Shane Wallace and the 11 car, Stacy Puryear, being brought to pit road with a black flag.
Wallace getting into Puryear, that got him a rough driving penalty, but it was Puryear that really wasn't too pleased with the whole maneuver and went back a little bit of a retaliatory move there under caution. That brought him, or bought him a trip to pit road and a visit with our officials.
Visit to the penalty box there. Some of the Hooters girls on hand tonight greeting the fans here at Concord Motorsports Park. Another look at how this happened. There you see Puryear going around. That was after the contact by Shane Wallace. And there you see Mullis just had no place to go.
And what we really didn't see was Toby Robertson. You saw him just scooting around the outside wall there going into 3. That car was trying to climb the wall. On board with Stephen Christian and the Lucas Oil machine, and
contact there. He got into the back end of the 34 car, drove around most of that skirmish, but you got a little look at just what that contact was all about. You could sort of see Toby Robertson's 23 car up on 2 wheels going down into the corner there as well. All right, green flag is back in the air. Clay Rogers is the restart leader. Huffman is second. 12 laps go on the board here at Concord.
Rogers showing very strong here this afternoon. Was quick in practice and he's done a great job in this Pro Cup Series of late with the number 29, picking up new sponsors and all. It doesn't seem like that long ago. I guess it was back about 1999. Clay Rogers graduated high school in the morning and then came out to Concord Motorsports Park and qualified for his first ever Hooters Pro Cup Series race.
Young driver with a lot of good potential and a long, happy future in front of him, I think, in this sport. Taking a look at these cars battling for third as Bobby Gill puts pressure on Hal Goodson. You know, Gene, you and I have done one of these races earlier this year at Peach State. I can remember talking about Goodson then. He still hasn't been to victory lane.
Has not been to victory lane, and it's really been a disappointment for Hal because we saw last season that he went to victory lane and really a storybook, what was looking to be a storybook ending to the championship series. Bobby Gill, last race, reached up and snatched the championship away, but Goodson's been struggling, and looks like Kevin Love, the 60 car, off the pace in the backstretch.
Love in some problems. Bobby Gill starting to set sail. He blows by Goodson for third spot, and here comes the Triple Diamond 5. There's the 28 of Michael Rich in front of Mike Laughlin Jr. Laughlin Jr. with a good run going so far, and that Fuse Ford, that 68.
Mike Laughlin Jr. was one of the cars that were innocent bystanders, so to speak, at USA when Bobby Gill and Steve Christian got together. It was Laughlin's car that made contact to the right rear of the 16 over in turn 4 and pretty much ruined what had been a very quiet but very successful day for Laughlin and that 68 team.
Right behind him, Jason Sarvis in the 22. There's the 71 of Sean Studer. Studer won a couple of North Tour races in that car a year ago, has not been in action on the North Series this year. He's run a few South Tour races, trying to work his way toward the front.
Sean Studer picking up a couple of new sponsors here this past week. Carl Buddig and the Butterball Deli sponsorship now on the side of that Chevrolet. And you're right, Rick, 3 wins for Sean Studer. Just clicked them off right in a row there at the beginning of that Northern Division campaign last year, but it's been a quiet season for Studer.
Mark Nesbitt there in the 80, working on Greg Marlowe in the 49. Marlowe from Troutman, North Carolina. The Southern Pride Means car, race cam on the back quarter panels of that Chevrolet. Nesbitt really wearing him out here.
Mark Nesbitt, another one of those drivers that picked up a sponsorship for this race, Tom Johnson Camping Centers. I know a lot of folks know who they are there in the Charlotte area. And Nesbitt trying to give them a good ride. Here's Steve Christian. You can see the nose of that race car showing the contact that he made with Mike Herman Jr. when they had to get on the binders for that incident in turn 3. He's trying to work to the inside of Herman there through that dog leg there in turn 2.
Yeah, you can see the sparks flying off Christian's car as the chassis bottoms out. Meantime, Kevin Love is behind the wall already. He's with Doug Rice.
Kevin, you've had a lot of success here at Concord, but not tonight. An early exit. Why are you behind the wall?
We had engine trouble. I believe it's either the valves or it might be the distributor. But like I said, I don't know. It was spluttering on the front stretch, and it was just spluttering the whole time. So like I said, we just had bad luck for the. I felt good about this race, and we just had bad luck.
In just his 3rd Hooters Pro Cup start, Kevin Love, though, with his worst finish tonight, an early exit here in Concord.
He had a top 10 in the North Tour race earlier this year. That race run at Lonesome Pine back in August. Ran 2 straight events there, but won't have a good night tonight. A good battle for second here. Bobby Gill to the inside of Shane Huffman, and Gill is going to get that spot easily.
Mike Huffman mired to that outside line and going into 1. That's really not where you want to be. Now coming out of 1, that's where you want to be, but Bobby Gill able to take the advantage and left that door wide open. Jason Sarvis, he's become a very savvy veteran here in his sophomore season in the Pro Cup Series, and he takes advantage of it.
A couple of years ago, I watched Bobby Gill here at Concord in an ASA race for the first time. Had not run the cars before. I don't think he'd even been to Concord in many years. Came from the back to the front. He really knows how to drive this racetrack.
Not only this track, but any type of race car you put him in, anywhere in the country.
No doubt about it, Bobby Gill does not need a road map here at Concord or anyplace else. We're early in the going. Gill is second, chasing leader Clay Rogers. We'll be right back.
You're watching the Jackaroo Sauces 250. We'll be right back after this break.
Hi, I'm Brett Bodine, driver of the Hooters number 11 Ford Taurus. You and a friend can win a trip to the Hooters Pro Cup Series Championship event and a day at the Cale Yarborough Executive Racing School with me. Sometime during the show, a nearly world-famous Hooters girl will ask a trivia question, and later in the show, I'll give you the answer. Then, just log on to Hooters.com and follow the instructions. Answer all 8 questions correctly, and you're ready to win.
Enter at Hooters.com or send a postcard to Bodine Contest, 815 The Exchange, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339. No purchase necessary. Open to legal U.S. residents 18 and over. Void where prohibited. See website for official rules and regulations.
No, Doug Rice, you can't enter the contest. Not allowed. Welcome back to Concord Motorsports Park here on Speed. The Jackaroo Sauces 250, the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series South Tour. Final regular season run of the year. And Clay Rogers off the pole tonight has led all the way so far, but his mirror plenty full of that black Ford that belongs to Bobby Gill.
Clay Rogers really doesn't need to look at that rear view mirror because he's got plenty of traffic directly ahead. These leaders working heavy lap traffic over in turn number 1, so a little bit of tiptoeing around this narrow racetrack as they continue to click the laps off. This is the fastest part of the racetrack. You can't see from this angle, Rick, but you really dive off into a hole here. You're on the high side of the banking. You just run all the way down off into that hole in turn 3, and it really throws the car to the outside of the corner. It's tricky when you're trying to work lap traffic and to keep that lap time very quick.
It is a half-mile racetrack, but you're turning the car constantly because of the 3-turn configuration here. No time to rest as the leaders lap by the 11 with Stacy Purrier. 30 laps on the board. Your Naturally Fresh Foods field summary. Mike Laughlin is 6th, ahead of Goodson, Sean Studer, Rodney Childers in 9th, and John Kinder rounding out the first 10 here at Concord. And the leader's just setting a very fast pace. There's the 57, Joe Harrison Jr., the Harrison's Automotive Chevy out of Rennick, West Virginia. Joe headed to pit road with problems early on. Here's Gill now, closing in on Rogers, but a lap car will close the door and keep him back there, at least for now.
Chris Gordon from nearby Kannapolis stays on the high side, and Bobby Gill will need to follow Rogers through a little bumper tag there, that time off of turn 3.
Bobby says, hey, I want the front and I want it now. He does not want to ride behind Clay Rogers any longer. Doesn't get a good run off the first corner. Through the dog leg, Rogers by a couple of car lengths.
Rogers still has lap traffic to deal with, so Bobby Gill taking his time. They're going to work up on the 50 of Larry Wilcox.
Oh boy, and Rogers is picked off, and that'll give Gill the opportunity to pass going into 1. So Bobby Gill grabs the lead, just past 30 laps on the board, and we'll see if Rogers was holding him up. Look how quickly Gill builds the lead. Now a little further back, here's the 68 car, Mike Laughlin, for 6th, along with Hal Goodson in the 92.
Goodson's car starting to move backwards through the field.
Yeah.
And in the top 5, now Laughlin flexing the muscles in that Ford. Goodson not willing to give it up. He'll try and get to the inside through the dogleg and back to turn 3.
Hal Goodson, a great veteran, of course, in the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series. Mike Laughlin Jr., you know his story, badly burned a few years ago. Back racing with us finally a year ago and getting very fast once again in that car. Michael Rich here in the 28, the 61 also in the mix. That's the car of J.P. Morgan from North Carolina.
Heavy traffic ahead of these leaders.
Mullis there in the 9, the car damaged during our first caution of the night. He's a lap or more down now. Laughlin still able to hold off Goodson. They work outside the slower traffic. Michael Rich is 5th in the 28. Laughlin is 6th. Goodson is 7th. Lots of action down into turn 1 here at Concord. Leader Bobby Gill stretching the advantage early on.
This traffic has really allowed not only Bobby Gill but Clay Rogers to pull away from this group. You've got 3rd right through 7th and 8th position all clustered in this pack of lap traffic trying to weave their way through.
Lapping by the 50 there, Larry Wilcox, the white Chevrolet. He's back in 21st spot. And we've got problems. We've got a couple of cars around. Our second caution of the night on lap 39. This is the backstretch, the 24 involved. That's Mike Williams from Conover, North Carolina. His Monte Carlo cars involved there, and we get the yellow flag again tonight.
Not the place you want to be sitting here at Concord. The fastest part of the racetrack is those cars whip through turn 2, and of course driver's side facing traffic. Really concerning moment, I'm sure, for Mike Williams.
With the banking there and that dog leg, the second corner down the backstretch, it's easy to have the car get away from you there if you're not lined up correctly going through that turn. We've seen many drivers lose it through there over the years, and it's really a challenge to hang onto the car going down toward turn 3 here. So Williams is around and back underway. The bodywork wrinkled up on that Chevrolet. He got into the wall, evidently, some contact, but Bobby Gill all alone out in front. The Triple Diamond Aviation Ford, 10 wins in the South Tour and 13 starts this year. 2 North Tour wins in 2 tries, and he's got to be the favorite heading to the Championship Series. The 5 races that'll settle the 2002 USAR title. And you'll see them all here on Speed. We'll be right back. Back at Concord Motorsports Park on Speed, coverage of the Jackaroo Sauces 250, presented by the Genio Turkey Store. The USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series tonight at Concord. With Gene Crane, I'm Rick Benjamin, and down in the pit area tonight, a familiar face to stock car racing fans. Doug Rice has caught up with a former champion.
You never know who you're going to bump into when you come to the racetrack here at Concord tonight. We have found former NASCAR Busch Series champion David Green. What brings you out here to Concord tonight, David?
Doug, number one, is watching on Speed Vision every week. I wanted to come and see one in person, but John Litzinger, a good friend of mine with AFG Glass, which sponsored the 34 car the couple of seasons I drove it, is out here. Him and Robbie Ferguson run the 41 car here in Hooters Pro Cup, and just wanted to come out and visit him and root him on a little bit, enjoy the action.
David, you've seen a lot of races. What do you think of the competition?
Well, to me, this is a very neat deal. Number one, the first thing I can see is it doesn't cost as much money to run like Busch Series and Winston Cup, so there's a lot of guys here have the opportunity to break into what we call full-body stock cars. So to me, a great proving ground and learning ground for these guys, and a lot of fun.
All right, good luck to you, David. I hope the next time I interview you, it's somewhere to Victory Lane, maybe.
Yeah, taking my helmet off instead of street clothes. Thanks, Doug.
All right, good to see David Green out at the racetrack tonight.
David Green, former NASCAR Busch Series champion, one of several dignitaries on hand to enjoy the USAR Hooters Pro Cup action here. Field getting set for a restart, but before we go green, one of the drivers involved in the first caution of the night has brought his car back to pit road. Let's get it down to Doug.
Chad Mullis in the pits under this early race yellow. A lot of damage to the left front of the Mullis car. He's carrying about 3 pounds of duct tape as he dashes back out and tries to get back into the action here tonight at Concord.
Rick, they were really working hard. You see that hammer
Yeah.
that fall apart and go falling over the hood of the race car? They
That's
were
exotic
furious.
engineering for you there. Nothing like a hammer of duct tape to get you ready to go here at Concord Motorsports Park. Lead lap cars are on the high side, lap traffic to the bottom of the racetrack. Safety car is in. Green flag goes in the air. Bobby Gill up through the gearbox. He remains the leader on lap 45. Huffman in the 84 runs third. Looking to the outside on the back straightaway here, trying to hold Hal Goodson off.
Looks like Rogers has got a pretty good horse right now
Yeah.
on the restart. Cooled those tires a little bit. Able to look to the inside of Bobby Gill that time out of 3.
And let me correct something. That's Jason Sarvis in the 22 up in fourth. Goodson a little further back. Here comes Rogers heading toward 3, challenging for the lead.
Bobby Gill's used to seeing the 22, not the 29, pressuring him for the lead here this year. And kind of nice to see Rogers with a good run here this evening. And Huffman holding down that 3rd spot. That's a good run for them.
Sarvis in the 22 trying to hang on to that top group. He has not been as quick as the top 3 cars. Gill getting a good bit of pressure here. Rogers with a little smoke showing off the left rear of the 29 cars. He worked through turn 3.
He's pinching it down to the bottom side. You can see Bobby Gill using a wide groove right now, trying not to really abuse those tires. We heard earlier how hard this track is on right sides, particularly through that back portion of the racetrack, turn 2 back there.
Well, the wider you can let the car run, you can keep your momentum up and you don't bind the car as much in the corner, so certainly that would save on tire wear. Clay Rogers, though, is just throwing everything he's got at Gill, trying to get the lead back.
Bottom side of turn 1, there is a little bit of a ripple strip down there at the exit of pit road, so that's also a concern. And Rogers now finally gives up the battle and will follow Bobby Gill for a couple of laps, so it seems.
A little further back, competition between the 55 and the 16. John Kinder driving the 16 tonight. Rodney Childers steering the 55. They battle for 9th and 10th. Your Goodyear full field summary, 50 laps go on the board. There are Childers and Kinder, 9th and 10th, behind Sean Studer. Al Goodson, 7th. Daniel Johnson and Mark Nesbitt. Stephen Christian has come from 20th to 13th in the first 50 laps. Mike Herman Jr. next in line. Wallace has been to pit road with that penalty. Then Medlin and Robbie Ferguson. Toby Robertson way back in 19th spot. Greg Marlowe, Gordon Morgan. Larry Wilcox, Don Satterfield in 25th. Puryear got into that first scramble tonight with Chad Mullis. Mike Williams, Joe Harrison Jr. has been behind the wall. Kevin Love is done for the night. Michael Struther and Jimmy Knoll also going behind the wall early here. 50 laps of 250 complete. And for third, Sarvis now taking a look at the bottom, trying to get inside Shane Huffman in the 84 car.
It's been a pretty good race for the past couple of laps. Sarvis just cannot quite get enough down on the bottom side to be able to work himself to a point that he can put the 84 car behind him back into 4th position.
Huffman in that Genio Turkey Store Sport. We've seen him in the North Tour a couple of times this year. He ought to be well positioned for the 5-race championship series coming up as well.
Comes into this race 5th in points in the Southern Division. There's Jason Sarvis 2nd in points, but it's all been overshadowed by the domination of Bobby Gill in the Southern Division so far in 2002.
Well, one driver running well tonight, a little further back, Mike Laughlin Jr. back battling for 6th and 7th position. Now, Mike has only made a couple of starts this year, but by showing up and taking the green tonight, he's guaranteed himself a spot in the championship series. We talked to him earlier.
Red Wine, he elected not to show up, so we should be able to get in the top 30 with no problem, run the 5 champions races. We're just tickled to death to be here. We're not here to just show up, though. We're going out there to win the race tonight and keep our nose clean, see what happens at the end. And, you know, we got Fuse as a sponsorship and Premier Motorsports on board. And I'll tell you what, it's a good combination, so we're going to get after it.
Premier Motorsports, a well-funded team here in North Carolina, and Mike Laughlin Jr., a driver with plenty of experience, and they certainly do have high hopes. Good to have a major sponsor on board. Let's get on board with Michael Rich here, the 28.
See Hal Goodson trying to look to the inside. Goodson slipped back out of the top 5 for just a little bit. Now starting to try to put a little pressure on Rich and get into the top 5 once again. Here's that battle for third. Sarvis is not giving up on Huffman.
Jason Sarvis in the 22 to the inside of Shane Huffman. Will get by him on the bottom here at Concord, so he will take over third. Huffman back a spot to 4th. And all that scrambling has allowed Bobby Gill to open up an even bigger lead in the 5 car, as he is at the top of the charts with Clay Rogers second. And you've got several other drivers really fighting hard.
Just notice, looked like Michael Rich cooked it off into turn 1 a little bit hot, left that door wide open for Hal Goodson to try to step up and take 5th position.
Bobby Gill in the 5 car, 10 or 12 car lengths to the good over Clay Rogers. Rogers fighting to hang close with 61 laps complete.
You're watching the Jackaroo Sauces 250. Back to you, Rick and Jean.
And welcome back to Concord Motorsports Park. Bobby Gill whistling by the 49 car. And Gene, once he puts that thing into the wind out in front, he's awfully hard to catch.
Bobby is really a master at being able to figure out what a race car needs through the race. He doesn't qualify all that well, only has 4 career pole wins throughout his entire Pro Cup Series career, but don't talk about overall race wins. That's a whole nother story. It seemed like the beginning of the year we were talking about Bobby Gill and Mario Gosselin neck and neck in that battle for career wins. Now we're looking at Bobby Gill endangering Mario's domination by doubling it before the year is out.
On board, Stephen Christian, the Lucas Oil Ford, up to 11th. Remember, Christian started 20th. Bobby Gill all alone out front, top of the show. We talked about the history these two drivers have. Really, it goes back to very early in the season. Clay Rogers now right up on the back decklet of Gill as they work through lap traffic.
So the lap traffic has allowed Clay Rogers to close the distance. They're going to go to the outside of Joe Gaeta, who really came on like gangbusters at the midpoint of the Southern Division here this year when he took over that ride. They've struggled a bit here of late. I know they've got a couple of new cars ordered. They're going to try to work by the 50 car of Wilcox that time out of turn 1. Wilcox keeps the car to the high side. Rogers is there, banging on the door with Bobby Gill off of turn 3.
Clay Rogers in that red 29 car with Petro Express backing here this weekend. Bobby Gill, the familiar Triple Diamond Aviation Ford. 70 laps on the board. Your Naturally Fresh Foods top 10. Studer is 8th, Kinder 9th, Childers 10th. And the 23 of Toby Robertson. Jesse Jones on the back fenders of that car tonight. Toby got involved in the first caution of the night, almost went up and out of the ballpark. Looked for a moment as though he might take quite a ride. He was up on 2 wheels, front end of the car bent up. And the son of the late T. Wayne Robertson is behind the wall in the garage area here at Concord.
They've been down on pit road several times. It's just not able to get that car fixed.
Tough break. Toby shows a lot of talent behind the wheel. We hope that he does very well in the months and years to come. I think he's got a lot of potential as a stock car driver. Bobby Gill, he's realized his potential. He is out in front tonight. Clay Rogers, though, has cooled his tires and made another run at Gill.
Clay using about a middle groove through the corners now, not pitching it down to the bottom, saving those tires. He's the one that told us about how hard it is to maintain those right side tires for a full run. And we look back to see Sean Studer. Here's another one of those young guns that is really stepping up and doing a pretty good job here tonight. Had problems at Lakeland, did not complete that race with some motor problems 2 weeks ago, but tonight looks like things are going his way. And Mike Laughlin Jr. pressuring Huffman.
As we watch Studer in the 71, new backing on that car tonight. He's from Concord, North Carolina.
Running
working
right
all
now.
alone back there in 8th spot.
Studer will not go to the championship series. 42nd in points coming into tonight's race.
He's run a limited schedule. That's got to be a big disappointment for Sean to know that this is his last time out in Hooters Pro Cup competition this year. Meantime, Clay Rogers closing in on Bobby Gill. Doug's with his crew chief.
Blake, I know we're early on. What are you telling your driver? You started on the pole, you dropped back to second.
Yeah, we're just trying to take care of our tires right now. Probably make a minor adjustment when we come in. Just really trying to take care of that right front tire here. You're turning all the time.
How long do you think you can go on your first set of tires?
We're going to try to stretch it as long as we can. That way we have something for the end. Unless it gets real bad, we'll come in and adjust it. But right now, he's real happy with the car.
That's Blake Brambridge. He is the crew chief for Clay Rogers, tonight's pole sitter.
A tire, as we talked earlier, looked like Clay had moved up the racetrack trying to take it easy on those right side tires, but still, it's become dark here. You cannot see the cloud cover, so these teams are trying to guess as to what the weather may or may not do. You don't want to lay back too much here in the early going. If weather were to come in and be an issue, particularly right around halfway, it could really hurt your efforts tonight.
Good. The 55 just gave up the position to Stephen Christian in the Lucas Oil Ford, the 16 car. And behind him, there's the 11 of Stacy Puryear. Now, he got a lap down early with that spin and then the penalty after the black flag. So he's not in this chase for position at the moment. Christian has started 20th. He's gained 10 spots already. Don't know if he'll have anything for Bobby Gill or not, but he's setting sail, making his way toward the front. Bobby Gill is in control, though, at Concord Motorsports Park. We'll be back with more of the Jackaroo Sauces 250. Welcome back to Concord Motorsports Park. Coverage of the Jackaroo Sauces 250 tonight here on Speed with Gene Crane. I'm Rick Benjamin, your leader. Bobby Gill in the black number 5. Lapping by the 8th car. Gill pretty much all alone out in front again. He stretched that lead over Clay Rogers, the pole sitter, to another 6 or 7 car lengths, but he's in lap traffic.
Here comes a battle for 13th. You can see that Shane Wallace, one of the rookie campaigners, in fact leading the rookie standings coming into tonight's race, starting to work his way back up through the field. Remember, he also came to pit road as his part in the activities in caution number 1. He's working his way back through the field, doing a pretty good job so far in 13th. And closing in, we see Daniel Johnson also directly ahead of him as Bobby Gill is in more traffic down the front stretch.
He's behind Mike Herman Jr. there in the 34 car. Gill being very patient. He can afford to be patient at this point in the race. Not quite to halfway, but you know these teams are starting to think in terms of when do we want to stop for tires. That is an amazing statistic when you think about it. Bobby Gill has not missed a lap in Hooters Pro Cup competition all year long. Take a look back here of the two Black's Tire Service teammates. Sarvis in the 22, Goodson in the 92. They're battling for third now.
When you look at the records, you talk about Bobby Gill, that domination, completing 100% of the laps, has been halfway leader 8 times. Of course, 10 division wins here. Then you look back 1 or 2 spots and you see Sarvis in second and Goodson in third in points, and their numbers are just as impressive.
Great testimony to these Hooters Pro Cup teams and crews. If you can keep a race car on the track for 4,000 laps, basically, without missing one, that is something. Gill now being held up by Mike Herman Jr. That's allowed Clay Rogers, who's running second in that red 29, to get right up behind Gill one more time.
Mike Herman Jr., a former late model champion here at Concord Motorsports Park. He knows how to use this racetrack, but Bobby Gill knows how to use that race car. Gets to the inside, it's going to get by Mike Herman Jr., and Clay Rogers steps right in line with him.
We know how great a short track driver Bobby Gill is, but he just showed you a great example of car control, making an inside pass on Herman.
Trouble.
No, we've got
Big
2
trouble.
cars together, making 3 cars together on lap number 90, the 56 machine of Daniel Johnson. Ferguson from Tennessee, a little fire under the hood of the 41. Red flag being shown from the starter stand here at Concord.
Officials not wasting any time to get the safety crews on their way to the accident scene. Ferguson, that was a great race car. We saw him set fast time at New River Valley Speedway earlier in the year in that Northern Division event. Thus the end that you see, a little bit wrinkled now, but on the side of that race car, you can see inside that Robbie Ferguson climbing out of the race car. Looks like he is A-OK.
Good news indeed. Ferguson wasting no time. He knows there's flames under the hood of the 41, so he wants to unbuckle and get out of there as quickly as he can. The 56 car heavily damaged. The 24 Mike Williams also taking a good hit. So the red flag will wave. There's a lot of moisture on the track, and the safety crews here at Concord will get busy right away, get things cleaned up so we can get back to action.
Daniel Johnson making his first start here in 2002. He was the 2001 Miller Lite Rookie of the Year, late arrival, and getting involved in that incident over in turn 3.
So a red flag at Concord. Everyone lined up behind the safety car. Bobby Gill will have the restart pole when we continue at Concord. Welcome back on Speed Channel. Coverage of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series tonight. The Jackaroo Sauces 250 at Concord Motorsports Park. 14th and final race of the 2002 South Tour season. Red flag waving for a 3-car incident on the back straightaway. One of the cars involved, the car of Robbie Ferguson from Tennessee. He's standing by with Doug Rice.
Robbie Ferguson came into Concord Motorsports Park with high hopes tonight, a beautiful looking race car, and here near midpoint, you bring out the red flag. What happened over here in turn 3?
Well, I don't know, Doug. After about the first 10, it's our first trip here, and it rained out. We didn't get much practice, and just took a JDL Motorsports car, and we worked on it, and got it pretty decent. Driver probably cost us a couple tenths. Our qualifying would have skewed us up around top 15 start. But we was just running along there, biding our time, and just hoping to get in here and make a pit and make a couple little changes, and something just broke in right front. Some people said they noticed some oil from another crew had mentioned there may be some oil, but it went real hard. If it did, I drove right through the oil and never seen it. But it just felt like something broke in it. And like I said, Doug, I hate to end it. It's Hooters Pro Cup Series, a nice series. Really enjoy it. And my team worked hard today, and they don't deserve to go home like this, but a lot of us does.
Now your car's a mess, but obviously you're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, Robbie Ferguson setting out the red flag here tonight as his car is being hooked up to the rollback right now.
You can sure see the disappointment in Robbie's face. That car heavily damaged. They'll have till 2003 season to get that car repaired and head back into action.
Well, while we've got a red flag at Concord, let's hear our Hooters Racing Challenge question tonight.
Where is Alan Kowicki's hometown?
Well, if you think you can answer that question, you can participate in our Hooters Racing Challenge as we get set to return to the action here at Concord Motorsports Park. Cars going out on the hook, the cleanup continuing on the back straightaway. Everyone will get a chance now. Tires will have cooled down when we get the green flag.
Problem's going to be the speedy dry now on the inside. No matter how well they clean it up, it's going to be a little bit slick getting into turn 3 on the restart. Daniel Johnson finally pulling away in his number 56, a short night for the Midland, North Carolina driver.
So the car's starting to roll, getting ready for a restart. Good time to tell you about the Championship Series. 5 races to go in 2002. This Sunday at Winchester, then to Jennerstown and Myrtle Beach, Peach State and USA International to close out the 2002 season. Welcome back to Concord Motorsports Park here on Speed. The USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series, the South Tour in action tonight. Final regular season run for these cars and drivers. Mark Nesbitt's car number 80 onto pit road. A little early, perhaps, for pit stops, but no. Many teams deciding, hey, now's the time for tires. Rodney Childers in the 55. Shane Wallace in the 4 car on pit road, and several others.
This car's running at the tail end of the lead lap, taking this opportunity to come to pit road and get some repairs or adjustments made to those race cars. You can see Derek Kelly's Discount Auto Parts Chevrolet. They're working on the right rear. Problem there. They're going to the left side here on Shane Wallace's engine ice Ford. The rookies had a great run here so far this evening after a penalty early on.
They'll fuel the car and put 4 new Goodyear tires on, and the signal going to Shane that they're ready. He is down and away. Trying to avoid losing a lap to the leaders here as the fuel can goes back over the wall. Here comes the 06, Joe Gaeta from Yorktown, Virginia. They'll put right side tires on that Taurus. He was 15. Seeing some of his key competition in the field deciding to stop. Here's the 16 of John Kinder, the 16N. He was 9th in the shoot.
John Kinder, running for points in the Southern Division, is running a Northern Division car, so car points will not be awarded to this entry. This is one of the Don Sprouse entries that you've seen a lot on the Northern Division campaign here in 2002.
Stacy Puryear's car up, right side tires going on the 11 car as well. Bobby Gill, though, Clay Rogers, the cars running in the top 5, elect to stay on the racetrack. Mike Rich back there in the 28. He is 5th, getting set for the restart. Let's find out about Shane Wallace's decision to pit early. Here's Doug.
Darren, why did you guys decide to short pit here, especially with the threat of rain?
Because we're kind of banking on, we burned our tires up trying to get back to the field when we got a stop and go penalty earlier in the race. So we're kind of thinking that, everybody's going to keep on 150 to get their tires around then. Hopefully it puts us in the front. If this thing's rain shortened, we want to be in the front when it gets rain shortened. That's what we're counting on.
So that's Darren Shaw's plan here tonight.
Track position, it's what it's all about right now.
Starting to see a few flashes of lightning around. We have had rain this weekend. You can tell when the cars are on pit road, there's still some standing water at the wall area that separates the road. So you know it's been moist. It's very humid tonight, and we certainly could see more rain. Safety car is in. Bobby Gill is your restart pole sitter. Green flag is in the air. 3 laps short of 100 on the board at Concord.
Looks like your first 2, Rogers and Gill, are going to be able to get around Andrew Medley and the number 8. They have put a little bit of distance already between themselves and 3rd place Jason Sarvis. And look at Rogers dive to the inside. Bobby Gill's car did not want to turn quite so well that time in turn 3, and Clay Rogers all the way downstairs and continuing to run the bottom. You can see Bobby Gill's car starting to slip just a little bit at the exit of the corner. Rogers really capitalizing on that right now.
We've watched these 2 drivers use radically different lines around the half mile here at Concord so far tonight. Gill seems to be willing to run the car higher and let the momentum carry him around here and probably not use up his right side tires. But here's Rogers really up on the wheel on the inside, down into 1, going for the lead. Clay Rogers, the pole sitter tonight.
Bobby did not want to give up on the outside. No. Interesting line. He was able to hold him off using the outside. Sean Studer off the pace and down pit road.
Tough break for Studer in that Chevrolet. The Carl Budding Butterball meets 71. At lap 100, your Goodyear tires full field run down. Gill and Rogers still running 1-2. Then Sarvis and Goodson. Laughlin is 6th, the 84 car 7th in line with Shane Huffman. Andrew Medlin showing 15th, not on the lead lap with Studer right in front of him. Studer to pit road will give up that spot. Joe Gaeta 16th, Kelly and Marlowe, Morgan and Larry Wilcox the rest of the first 20. Take a look at the next 5. Satterfield, Chris Gordon, Mullis with problems early ahead of Stacy Purrier and Daniel Johnson. Ferguson wrecked earlier with Mike Williams, but Toby Robertson went behind the wall with mechanical troubles. Joe Harrison's back on the racetrack. Michael Struther and Jimmy Newell are behind the wall. Bobby Gill continues to show the way in the Triple Diamond Aviation Ford, but Clay Rogers in that Petro Express car, 3 car lengths back, Gene, and he's not giving up.
He's not giving up at all. Now, what is starting to change for Bobby Gill, each of these teams are allotted 8 Goodyear Eagles for 250 laps. They've got those 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles waiting in the pit area, and it looks like Bobby Gill may need to go to pit road and get those fresh tires and a chassis adjustment. That'll also give him a run towards the checker with a few less laps on those tires.
Top 2 cars remain the 5 and the 29, but the 2 Blacks tires, Chevrolets of Sarvis in the 22 with 2 wins under his belt this year, and Goodson, who's been blanked in 2002. They run 3rd and 4th ahead of Michael Rich. Goodson just biding his time at a track he knows very well in that 92 car. You know he can see Bobby Gill from where he is. You got to think he's plotting some second half strategy here.
Well, he's struggling right now trying to get that car to keep up with his teammate, Jason Sarvis. You can see they've dropped back just a little bit.
Not quite to halfway at Concord Motorsports Park. The weather threatening, though. We'll be back here on Speed.
Welcome back to Concord, North Carolina. You're watching the Jackaroo Sauces 250.
Just past 100 laps. Battle for 5th. Mike Laughlin Jr. is there with Shane Wallace. Joe Gaeta in the 06 car also up in the mix. Everybody chasing Michael Rich, who's had that Jackaroo Sauces 4, or rather Dodge, I should say, in 5th for quite some time.
Yeah, kind of strange to see that different nameplate out there, but Michael Rich giving that Dodge a good run here so far this evening. The Ford of Laughlin running very strong, but Shane Wallace and that number 4 is extremely strong. Oh, and Gaeta up into the outside wall there out of turn 2. Looks like he may feel like he's done damage to the right side of that Ford.
Contact with the concrete. Gaeta on the gas. Meantime, Wallace to the inside of Mike Laughlin Jr.'s Fuse Ford, the 68, and give Wallace the spot. He's come back nicely from that early penalty tonight.
This is the difference that fresh tires will make for you. Remember, they were counting on track position. Now with those cars that have not made that trip to pit road for fresh Goodyear Eagles.
Making the move into 6th is Shane Wallace. Everyone's still chasing Bobby Gill, lapping by Joe Harrison Jr.'s Chevy there, the 57. Who rides 5th, but Shane Wallace pressuring the heck out of him now on the inside of the 4 car. Wallace making a move as they head to the corner.
Good side-by-side action here. Wallace knows the bottom groove is the fast way, particularly through turn number 3, and he's able to capitalize on that, put Michael Rich back a spot. Laughlin still in tow with probably the best seat in the house for that race.
So Rich in that Dodge giving up ground really for the first time tonight. Shane Wallace starting to rumble now out of Mooresville, North Carolina. The engineized Ford, car number 4. Wallace has gained some ground here since making that pit stop. That was a great decision there.
It was a very smart decision. We'll see what Bobby Gill and the rest of the team is. 2002.
Sure have. With the weather a question mark, it's got to figure in everybody's plans. Meantime, this is for 9th. John Kinder in the red 16. Steve Christian in the white Lucas Oil car on the outside. And they've got Mike Herman's car right there in the hunt as well.
Herman's been to pit road. He's got fresh tires on that race car. So has Kinder. He's also had some service done with that car. Pretty good grip.
11th and 12th as they race into turn 1. John Kinder trying to hang on to 10th. Stephen Christian up from 20th, and remember, he's got Bobby Gill on his mind here tonight after their contact at USA 2 weeks ago.
Well, right now, he's going to have to wait on Bobby Gill because Bobby Gill has absolutely just made shambles of this field.
I'm on board with Christian. He'll have to tuck in behind Kinder. Kinder in that red 16, the North Tour car of Don Sprouse, just a little bit quicker right now.
You can see in the rear view mirror, Mike Herman Jr. all over the rear bumper of the 16 of Steve Christian. He peeks to the inside once again through turn 3 and back to start finish.
So Kinder starts to pull away. 121 laps up on the board. Your Naturally Fresh Foods top 10. Gill and Rogers still 1 and 2. Rich now back to 6th ahead of Laughlin. Then it's Huffman, Kinder, and Christian. And that side-by-side duel, now it's the 34 of Mike Herman up alongside Christian. Christian needs to make a stop.
He certainly does. He is mired to the outside, and that outside groove just is not the fast way for the way that car is set up right now. Looking for an opportunity to make a change, Mike Herman Jr. Motors right on by, and here's Bobby Gill working traffic to the inside of Chad Mullis.
Coming toward the cross flags, Bobby Gill wants that halfway bonus from Lucas Oil, and he's certainly in line to collect it as they lap by Chad Mullis' heavily damaged Ford Taurus, the 9 car. Gill all alone once again. He's about 7 car lengths ahead of Clay Rogers, and Gill wins the Lucas Oil halfway leader honors tonight. He's led 89 laps of the first 125 after passing Clay Rogers, who was the early leader. Here comes Rogers moving by Mullis. He sits in second spot. Rogers wanting and needing a good run tonight. Gill, meantime, bidding for his 11th Hooters Pro Cup South Tour win of the season tonight, and he has dominated so far.
Bobby's opened up about the largest lead we've seen all evening long. Looks like Clay Rogers just biding his time, waiting for the chance to come to pit road. We'll be back from Concord. See you on the other side.
Welcome back to Concord Motorsports Park here on Speed alongside Gene Crane. I'm Rick Benjamin. Doug Rice is on pit road. Dews taking a look down at his driver, Bobby Gill, leading. Meantime, for 6th, Mike Laughlin starting to get going in the 68 car, working to the inside of Michael Rich now in that Dodge. Rich able to hang on, but these cars need tires.
Rich is able to keep Laughlin's car pinched down to the bottom side, use the outside groove, and just kind of whip around this half mile here at Concord. Good race.
Mike Laughlin Jr., Michael Rich for 6th position. Meantime, let's take a look at our Lucas Oil halfway recap. The start of the race earlier tonight. Clay Rogers had the pole in the red 29. Shane Huffman alongside. Bobby Gill started from 4th spot tonight. 8 laps in, there was an early yellow going down into turn 3. Stacy Purrier and Chad Mullis got together. Both cars heavily damaged. And on lap 36 tonight, the only lead change of the evening, Bobby Gill in the 5 car racing and tracking down Clay Rogers, pins him behind a lap car. Gill to the outside in turn 1 was able to grab the lead. He has led ever since. More action though on lap 90 tonight. There was trouble going down into turn 3. 3 cars involved. Robbie Ferguson's car catching fire briefly. And that brought out a red flag, our only stoppage of the night. The restart came on lap 96. Clay Rogers right behind Gill, but Gill opened up a lead quickly. He's been out in front ever since. And that's your Lucas Oil halfway recap tonight here at Concord. The battle continues to rage, though, for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Michael Rich in the 28 has 5th. Mike Laughlin Jr. right behind him. John Kinder starting to get going again here. Kinder to the inside.
He's been to pit road, fresh tires on that race car, and he's really making it work here in the middle portion of this race. 250 laps, long time to go. He comes to pit road, short pits, gets fresh tires, and puts that car back in contention.
Some of the cars, especially the cars not up with the lead group, have decided to come to pit road already during the last caution. With the weather threatening tonight, a lot of these teams have to be thinking, hey, this one may not go to conclusion. So I'm surprised we haven't seen more drivers decide to take a gamble on maybe a green flag stop. Bobby Gill, meantime, right up behind Don Satterfield's 1 car. There you see the damaged 11 of Stacy Purrier to the inside. Satterfield trying to hang on and not give up another lap to the 5, but Bobby Gill is just too strong here tonight.
He's setting a torrid pace and actually got into Don Satterfield. A little bit of damage to the right front headlight door of Bobby Gill. And that's the other story about this championship battle in the Southern Division. Bobby Gill has been dominant. He's won a lot of races, but he's been just darn lucky. On a lot of occasions, he's pushed the envelope a bit, was pushing it with lap cars here just a moment ago, and almost got in trouble.
Satterfield in the Hawk Sawblade Chevy back in 21st position. There's the 11 of Purrier. Passing flag being shown. Purrier will try to get around Satterfield. The 55 of Rodney Childers. There's the 71, Sean Studer back on the racetrack. Meantime, you've still got that battle between Jason Sarvis and his teammate Hal Goodson, the 22 and the 92, the 2 Black's Tire Service cars. Gill all alone out in front. To me, the most impressive thing about Gill, the fact that he has not missed a lap all season and that he invaded the North Tour twice and won this year. That certainly sets Bobby Gill up as the favorite going to the 5 championship races that settle the title in 2002 in USAR Hooters Pro Cup competition. Hal Goodson runs 4th in the 92. His crew chief standing by with Doug Rice.
Jimmy King, Hal's running well tonight. We've gotten past halfway, so we know it's an official race. What's the plan from here on out for you and Hal Goodson?
put more tires on it, tighten the car up a little. We're a little bit loose up on the corner right now. That's about it.
How much longer can you go on this set of tires?
Probably around 150 to 160.
All right, that's Jimmy King, and right now we're on lap 130, so they got about 30 more good laps on this set of Goodyears.
Well, Gene, you've watched these guys run all season. I really think they're gambling here with the weather the way it is.
Well, it is a gamble, Rick, but you know, you never know when the weather is going to move in and possibly, you know, bring this race to a short conclusion. You don't want to give up that lead and that track position. We saw Shane Wallace come to pit road, his crew making a very heads-up decision, and with the 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles, he's able to just motor his way back up through the field. He's inside the top 10 and running very strong. So it's a toss-up. You really don't know what to do. You really, with the onset of nighttime, you can't see what the cloud cover is. These teams don't have radar or any other type of devices there in their pit area, so it's anybody's guess. You make your best choice and make the best of it.
John Kinder, meantime, up to 8th in that red 16, Don Sprouse's North Tour car. Kinder a regular on the south side. Here's Laughlin, Michael Rich battling for position. Laughlin a little sideways in turn 1.
Looks like he carried it in. Oh, big trouble.
One of the Black's tire service cars. It's Hal Goodson into the inside retaining wall on lap 143. He's got a cut right front tire. He's back underway, not heavy contact, but Goodson will now have to come to pit road. He was in 4th spot. How did that happen?
Well, what I'm gathering right now, I'm hearing that out of turn 2, that car got sideways just a little bit. Hal just flat-footed it, and it just kept coming right on around. He did not make contact with the wall on the inside, but apparently finally rubbed a hole through that Goodyear Eagle on the right front, so he's going to have to come to pit road no matter what for a pit stop.
So Goodson will stop earlier probably than he wanted to. We just heard from his crew chief a moment. 60 with this set of tires and stopping for fuel, but now before lap 150, cut right front tire brings the 92 to pit road to Doug Rice.
Hal Goodson in first on pit road. They'll swing around to the right side of the 92 of Hal Goodson as he makes this key pit stop here. And Goodson has a right front tire that is down on his machine, so that's why he made the early entrance to pit road. So Goodson, a great run gone for him tonight as he falls victim to a right front tire going down. And now the leaders will dive onto pit road for this key series of pit stops. Bobby Gill's black number 5 leading the slow parade down the pit lane as Gill's crew waits to service him. Dews will be the jackman. The team goes to work for Bobby Gill. This crew has powered him to 12 victories so far this season. They go to the right side of the number 5 car. Now they'll swing around to the left side and give Bobby Gill 4 fresh Goodyears to finish out this race here tonight at Concord. Meanwhile, right in front of Bobby Gill, Jason Sarvis, also a guy that's in contention for a win here tonight. He's getting his left side tires. Gill's left side tires going on, fuel going into the car. Meanwhile, Gill is down and away. Sarvis has to back out of his pit lane to try to clear the exit of pit road here. Now, Jason Sarvis down and away as he'll chase down Bobby Gill, who was the first out on the pit lane.
Well, Bobby Gill was first off the jack, but it was Clay Rogers pitting on the very end of that pit road that beat everybody off of pit road. He'll be our restart leader.
So the caution flag and the pit stops will shuffle things up when we come back. Welcome back to Speed Channel. Coverage tonight of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series, the South Tour at Concord Motorsports Park. It's the Jackaroo Sauces 250, presented by the Jenny O Turkey Store. With Gene Crane, I'm Rick Benjamin. Doug Rice is on pit road. While we're still under caution, some of the other cars in contention tonight coming to pit road. Mike Laughlin Jr. stopping. Looked like Hal Goodson making a second stop there. And this will leave Shane Wallace out front as the restart leader.
And Hal Goodson had to come to pit road to serve a stop-and-go penalty for pitting too early after he brought out the caution.
Tough break indeed for Goodson, trying to get back on track after cutting that tire down. Let's talk to Bobby Gill's crew chief. Here's Doug.
Dews, your team looked a little bit upset. Not your best pit stop.
No, quite frankly, it was a terrible stop. We're back in the rut where when one guy gets it right, the other guy's out in left field, and that's not what it takes to win championships. So I ride him pretty hard, but, I expect a little better than that, but we should be able to recover. Car's been pretty good tonight. But with the rain, I don't want to give up any spots on pit road. Got beat out by Clayton's team. That's a bunch of like 17-year-olds, but hats off to them for getting the job done. Well, my team did it.
All right, Deuce, His teammates earlier said, hey, man, we got beat by teenagers, and they were visibly upset down here. Now Bobby Gill's got the tough task of rallying from 5th, trying to fight his way back to the front, but the rain definitely is on the way as the Lightning's starting to dance over Concord Motorsports Park.
Well, it's been the story of young Lions throughout this Hooters Pro Cup Series season. Young men coming in and really starting to show the veterans that they're just as much a contender, whether it be on pit road or on the racetrack. So hats off to the Rogers crew, and of course Wallace up front, another young gun, leading rookie contender, leading the race tonight with John Kinder running second.
100 to go here at Concord. Your Goodyear Race Tires full field summary. Mike Laughlin back to 11th. Hal Goodson 12th after the 2 stops. Medlin, Wilcox, Gordon, Mullis, and Studer. Don Satterfield shows 21st ahead of Perrier, who's had problems. Joe Gaeta, Daniel Johnson 26th. Ferguson and Mike Williams had wrecked earlier. Michael Strother and Jimmy Knoll last on the board. Let's talk to Clay Rogers, crew chief now.
Lake Bainbridge, we were just up visiting with the Bobby Gill crew, and they said, man, we let a bunch of teenagers beat us on the pit stop. They said you guys knocked off a great one.
Yeah, I tell you what, I can't say enough. We don't get to practice at the shop because everybody has jobs or still in school. But nobody on our team's over 22, and I'm just real proud of them. I can't say enough. We hope we got something for them at the end.
Has Clay got enough to get past the guys in front and win maybe before the rain shows up?
That's what we're hoping. I'm hoping we time this just right. We might get it in, but I feel like we'll be pretty good. I think we'll be styling at the end.
And Rick, these guys still may be in school. They might be students, but I think they gave the guys on the 5 team a bit of a lesson on that last round of pit stops.
Yeah, I think they definitely did, Doug Rice, and I think it caused a lot of consternation in Bobby Gill's team. Second spot in contention, and Clay Rogers whistles by John Kinder in that red 16N to take the spot back. So the pole sitter Rogers, after the stop, he is definitely hooked up tonight, closing in on leader Shane Wallace. There's Gill in the 5, back in 4th spot. And here comes Sarvis in the 22.
You know, Bobby Gill's really getting teamed up by the young guys. You got Sarvis back there. He's under 30. In fact, the entire top 5, with the exception of Bobby Gill, is part of that under 30 club. So we've got a lot of youngsters getting some valuable experience here tonight.
You're on board with Steve Christian, the Lucas Oil Ford. He's climbed up to 7th now after starting back in 20th. So you never know. He could be knocking on the door of a good finish here tonight, and he could be closing in on Bobby Gill. Remember, we talked at the top of the show? Those 2 drivers have had a history this season, and it really was played out a couple of weeks ago at USA. This is for the lead. Here's Rogers to the inside of the 4 car, down into turn 3.
Well, they're going to school in a hurry. Look at Rogers' car kicked sideways on the bottom of the racetrack. Just can't get enough grip downstairs, and Wallace on the outside really hanging tough.
Shane Wallace doing a nice job. Remember, he pitted earlier than the leaders of the race at the time. Took advantage of the fresh tires to go to the front of the field, but Rogers has tracked him down. So Clay Rogers on lap 159 takes over Bobby Gill to 3rd in the 5 car.
Rogers using the advantage of fresh Goodyear Eagles, fresher tires over Wallace. We've got trouble.
Big wreck on the backside. Mike Herman in the 34. Stephen Christian, they get together on lap 158. It's our 5th caution of the night. Herman gets pointed in the right direction, but the yellow flag waves again here at Concord. Herman was 6th in that car after stopping early. So he will give up a lot of track position after that incident.
Like Steve Christian got in trouble going into turn 1, and Mike Herman Jr. was a late arrival in that situation, spinning the car to try to avoid, but Christian did make contact with the outside wall outside of turn 1 with the right rear of that Lucas Oil Ford.
They were running 6th and 7th at the time. Clay Rogers settling in as your leader. Wallace will tuck in behind him 2nd to get ready for a restart here with the weather a question. Here's your Coca-Cola replay from Christian's view. I think he was just inside Herman there, and Herman might have turned down on him a little bit. Hard to tell from that angle exactly what happened, but obviously Christian was going for the spot on the inside. He got into the back end of Herman's car. Christian up the racetrack, kept it off the wall, but Herman went around. Nothing he could do, really.
And a good job by Mark Nesbitt and a few others behind them not to get into that incident.
Now the fans settling in here at Concord Motorsports Park in the 2nd half tonight of the Jackaroo Sauces 250. We'll grab a quick timeout. Come right back to Concord. Welcome back to Concord Motorsports Park here on Speed. Coverage of the Jackaroo Sauces 250 tonight. Under caution, getting ready for a restart. Shane Wallace has got the 4-car back up front as we get ready to go green. But before we do, let's get it downstairs to Doug Rice.
Darren Shaw called the shots a little bit earlier tonight for Shane Wallace, betting on the rain and betting you guys could go to the front. Right now, it looks like a pretty good bet. It's starting to drizzle.
We just need the bottom of the fall out right now while we're in the lead. It's raining pretty hard in the backstretch, so we're probably going to slide all over. But I mean, you can see it's coming down right now. So if they threw this yellow, we'd have banked a good one tonight. If we get top 5, we'll be happy. We just want to load our car up and go home anyway.
Now, you know, a lot of people in this area have been wanting the drought to end and praying for rain. I think you might be praying for a different reason.
It's for the drought.
It's been a victory drought, I think, for Shane Wallace. That's what he needs rain for.
I tell you, here in 2002, it's been like the Drought Buster Tour. If you got a drought in your area, schedule the Pro Cup Series. I hate to say it, but that's exactly what's been happening. We've had rain plague us several times throughout the year. Good to see Wallace up front. He does revert back to the leadership after we revert back to the last completed green flag lap when that caution came out. That's why he's out front and hauling him off into turn number 1.
Lap 163 goes on the board. The green waves again. That black 4-car of Shane Wallace on top. Clay Rogers, though, coming quickly in the red 29. And here comes Gill in the number 5. He's up to 3rd spot. John Kinder behind him at 4th. Rogers takes a peek to the inside of Wallace down into 1. Wallace able to stay on top. And you know, if there is rain falling on the backside of the racetrack, Gene, that's got to have all of these guys thinking this could be the last couple of laps of green flag racing. So here's Rogers now bidding for the point.
And Wallace on the outside, remember his tires are about 40 laps older. They've got a little more wear than Rogers, pinching his car down on the bottom side, but they both got to get with it because Bobby Gill is closing in.
And Rogers back to the lead in the 29 car on the inside. Gill's got the preferred line as well. He'll go for 2nd, has to back out of the gas as they go to turn 1. Wallace just can't keep the 4-car at the bottom.
He cooked it off into turn 1, a little bit hot that time, Rick.
So Clay Rogers retakes the top spot. Wallace trying to hold off Bobby Gill, and you know, that's like a youngster trying to hold off a freight train coming through. Gill to the inside, gets 2nd spot back. The rookie Wallace has to tuck back into 3rd.
It's like a pretty good race behind them for 4th position. Kinder is there, and also Sarvis. Looks like Sarvis is going to take over the spot from Kinder, leaves the door open for Huffman.
That's Andrew Medlin in the white 8 car there. He is not on the lead lap, but able to run with the quick cars right now. But Rogers opens up about a 7-car length advantage.
Probably the longest advantage we've seen anybody be able to get over Bobby Gill all night long.
Clay Rogers is again your leader. Started on the pole tonight, led the first 35 laps here. Gill got by, but you can see some raindrops starting to show on our camera lens down in 1. Here's Medlin now trying to work his way by Wallace. So you know that Wallace has slowed down dramatically when the 8 car, which is a lapped car, is able to run along.
2nd in that rookie battle in the Southern Division. So these are the 2 leading rookies going at it side by side, not for position, because like you say, Medlin is a lap down. They've got to get with it because Sarvis and Huffman have caught that battle and looking to maybe pick up a 3rd place or 3rd position here as we move towards a finish.
170 laps on the board. The Naturally Fresh Foods top 10. Rogers, Gill, and Wallace. Sarvis and Huffman. Kinder, Rich, and Nesbitt. Mike Laughlin Jr. and Hal Goodson. Gill kicking the back end of the 5 car out that time as they came off 3. Let's check back in on Hal Goodson in the 92. Had those tire problems. He's gotten back to the top 10. This, though, the battle for position between Sarvis in the 22, Huffman in the 84. This is for 4th spot. Medlin in the 8 is not a factor. Michael Rich is 6th in the 28.
Still a strong run for the Dodge, so Rich has got to be happy about their run tonight, and Bobby Gill has closed that distance in a hurry. Chandler, and a little bobble out of turn 2 for Bobby Gill. Don't know if he saw the Greg Marlowe car down on the bottom side and hesitated or what.
Well, you know the track has to be getting damp, at least on the backstretch where we've had some drizzling going on for a while. There is some rain falling very lightly at the moment, but you know Bobby Gill and Clay Rogers. Oh, we've got more problems. Up in turn 1, a car goes around. It's Stephen Christian, our 6th caution of the night, here on lap 175. So everybody off the gas with the yellow waving. Christian was running up in the top 10, and he has got some damage to the Lucas Oil Taurus. So the driver who started 20th tonight, he had been in the top 10, had fallen back to 11th. and he will rejoin the pack. Try not to lose any more track position here, with undoubtedly the laps winding down at Concord Motorsports Park. On board Christian down into the corner here and see what happens. Nope, just gets away from him evidently. He is able to get on the brakes and keep the car off the wall. There's that inside barrier staring him in the face. Gets the car clutched and restarted, and we are under caution again here at Concord Motorsports Park. Well, the umbrellas are up, a little bit of drizzle in the area. Will we be able to go all the way to the 250 lap mark tonight? We'll find out when we come back. Back on Speed Channel, coverage of the Jackaroo Sauces 250 presented by the Genio Turkey Store. It's the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series, the South Tour regular season finale tonight at Concord Motorsports Park in North Carolina. With Gene Crane, I'm Rick Benjamin. Doug Rice patrolling pit road for us tonight. It's been a busy place. John Kinder brings Don Sprouse's 16N to pit road for right side tires. He really stretched it a long way, Gene.
He made it work pretty well as he did come in early. He pitted early around lap number 80 when we had that caution. And a major chassis adjustment. They put a little more wedge on the right rear.
John Kinder showing in 10th spot. Let's check in with Doug Rice.
Rain has been a factor all day long here at Concord. We were greeted by a virtual deluge around noon today. As we got to race time, though, the weather cleared up. But as we close in on the last third of this event tonight, the rain definitely could be a factor before it's all over. As you can see, a few drops already falling in this puddle here in the infield.
Well, since we are past halfway, Gene Crane, it is an official race tonight, but everyone wants to see it go all 250 laps.
Absolutely. Want to see it run right to green flag run all the way to checkers, and of course Pro Cup Series racing always finishes under a green condition.
Back underway, Rogers till the 200 mark, so 70 laps remain tonight. Bobby Gill in second, Andrew Medlin in that white 8 car, first of the cars a lap down or more. Shane Wallace in the 4, restarting third ahead of Jason Sarvis in the 22, and then up.
Bobby Gill's car getting a little loose there. Doesn't difference on the racetrack, but it's definitely getting in the driver's mind when they see that water hit the windshield.
On lap 110, Rogers and Gill still the fastest 2 cars of the place. Shane Wallace getting a challenge for position there from Sarvis, and Sarvis will get by. So Jason Sarvis moves to 3rd spot. Wallace dropping to 4th. Huffman in the 84 hanging on to 5th. Let's take a ride with Huffman down into the corner.
Last time Wallace's car was very loose. This time it stays pretty much in line. They'll go back through that turn 2, that whip. Wallace able to hold on to the position.
4th spot belongs to the 4 car. Behind the 22, the Black Tire Service Chevy of Jason Sarvis. Your lead battle meantime, Rogers in the Petro Express 4, the 29. Bobby Gill, the Triple Diamond Aviation 5, right behind him. Gill going for his 13th win of the season, really pushing hard.
And Rogers is feeling the pressure. That car was crossed up pretty good through turn number 3. He just flat-footed it, stayed out in front of Bobby Gill. Bobby Gill really putting the pressure on, making Rogers use up that right side tire, particularly that right front.
Puff of smoke again, though, out of the 5, so Gill, you know, is really leaning on the gas pedal. And he is just ever so close to Clay Rogers. Now, Gill led 89 of the first 125 laps tonight, but Rogers got back by him, and Bobby hasn't been able to make the move yet.
And there's 2 distinct lines that these drivers are using. Bobby Gill loose that time off of turn 3. Rogers tight into 1. Bobby Gill using a wider line, except for this time, Rogers lets it come up a little bit. In turn 3, it's the other way around. Rogers with a wide line and Gill with a tight line. We'll see what they do this time through turn 3. This time, Rogers, apparently his spotter, picking up on that difference and keeping that door shut. Bobby Gill continues to trail that youngster back through turn number 2.
Rogers hoping for a win here tonight. It would be great to see the 29 in victory lane. It'd be one of the few times this year that Bobby Gill had been beaten in Hooters Pro Cup competition. Heads up anyway. The 92 of Hal Goodson in front of Michael Rich and Rodney Childers in the 55 car. So Hal Goodson, after a cut tire and a little trip into the concrete earlier, starting to come back a little bit, make some noise. Here's Gill looking outside as they come to the front straightaway. Can't get by Rogers.
Both these drivers trying different lines, trying to size each other up. Bobby Gill this time kept it pinched down to the bottom side. Car just sashayed just a little bit up off the corner. Couldn't get the forward line enough to get to the inside and challenge Clay Rogers.
Rogers leads in the 29. Gill in the 5 is second. Third spot belongs to Jason Sarvis in the 22, but he is not in the same zip code at the moment.
Rick, while we've got a moment, I want to send out a get well wish to Steve Griffin, former crew chief for Mario Goslin and David Buggy Pletcher. Injured a couple of weeks ago in a pretty bad auto accident. But everything is progressing well, and then we'll see Steve back on the series here in the very near future.
Certainly wish he and his family well as he bounces back from those injuries. Meantime, still Clay Rogers leading in the 29. Bobby Gill runs second in the 5. They're as close as you can get. Here's Mark Nesbitt in the 80. Behind him, you've got the 68, Mike Laughlin Jr., Rodney Childers in the 55, Chad Mullis' 9 car, and here's the battle for the lead. Gill starting to show the nose of the 5 car to Rogers on the inside.
That's about all he was able to do is get the nose to the inside again in turn 3. He gets that nose there, but Rogers is able to pick up the throttle enough to continue to hang on to the lead advantage.
And again, we see some moisture on our camera lens down in the first corner. Here's Gill. He knows that time may be running short if he's going to get to victory lane for the 13th time this year. He's got to push it, loses it in 3, gets it gathered up, and that gives Rogers the lead back.
Wide line now being used by Clay Rogers, and he's able to maintain the advantage over Bobby Gill. Traffic is about to come into play again. Don Satterfield directly ahead.
Gill hopes to use Satterfield as a pick, but instead Rogers has Gill picked off on the 1 car. Boy, Bobby Gill is just leaning on it as hard as could be out of turn 3 the last couple of times. He's been sideways, trying to turn inside Rogers, going into turn 1 and get the lead back. Hasn't been able to do it. Here he is again, to the inside. Bobby Gill, front straightaway.
Gill continues to pinch that car down on the bottom side. It binds the car up, and then the car gets loose. Again, the car just does not want to get forward. By Clay Rogers continuing to hold the advantage.
Rogers able to run the high side to the backstretch off the dogleg. That's been the advantage so far. Here's Gill again. He's got the fender inside the 29. They know the laps are winding down as the rain becomes a factor. Side by side on the back chute.
Bobby Gill, he drifted up to the high side. Rogers almost into the wall over in turn 1. They held on. Great racing up front. It's been a while since I've seen a race like this here at Concord.
Bobby Gill dirt tracks it out of 3 again. Rogers on the high side. He's able to hang on by a bumper cap.
This reminds me of a race back in 1998 with Scott Sutherland and Tim Clayton going at it for many, many laps side by side. They're going to go by the 86 of Chris Gordon. And Rogers, the 29 car again, asserting himself back up front.
Gill had to back out of the gas pedal. Rogers takes over one more time. Closing in, getting closer to lap 200 here at Concord of 250 scheduled tonight, but with the weather an issue, who knows? Front straightaway again. Here comes Gill.
Gill's going to go to the inside. You know, Elaine Gill, Bobby's wife and spotter on this race car, is telling him, Bobby, the rain seems to be getting worse. Let's get by Clay Rogers. Rogers is not willing to give up.
200 laps on the board, 50 to go, and Gill may have him this time. Your Goodyear Tires full field rundown there, side by side over the stripe. Don't know who you'd give it to that time by.
It might have been Bobby Gill, but it really doesn't matter because Rogers isn't giving up on the outside.
But he may have to this time. Bobby Gill has just gotten the 5 car in front, slides it out of turn 3, and Bobby Gill retakes the lead in the 5 car. Rogers will come back at him, though, on the inside.
Clay Rogers trying to use the groove that Bobby used to get by him, just cannot make it work right now. He's going to have to bide his time if he's got any time left to try to cool those tires.
Rogers way loose coming through 3 that time, and that gives Gill the opportunity to open up half a dozen car legs. Rogers trying hard, just couldn't hang on. Shane Huffman on pit road, an unscheduled stop. Something broken evidently under the 84. They take a look under the right side. They'll jack up the left. Huffman may have to give up on top 5, but Bobby Gill is setting sail at Concord. We'll be back.
So, Brett, where is Alan Kowicki's hometown?
Alan Kowicki's hometown is Greenfield, Wisconsin.
So now you know the answer. Send your postcard in. Enter the Hooters Racing Challenge. Meantime, on the racetrack, good battle for 6th. Mark Nesbitt right up behind Michael Rich of the Jackaroo Sauces Dodge.
Here's a team that used the opportunity to come to pit road just past halfway to adjust that race car. They were about to get lapped by the leader, Bobby Gill, prior to halfway. Now they're up front running for that 6th position with the only Mopar in the field, Michael Rich.
But Nesbitt putting plenty of pressure on him as they come over the stripe. right behind Andrew Medlin's 8 car. Still seeing that moisture on the camera lens, but still under green flag conditions here at Concord. Rich trying to hang on to, you know that he needs tires. Nesbitt, meantime, taking advantage here, I think, in that Monte Carlo.
Michael Rich is really got to be just grinning ear to ear in that race car. Yeah, it's an outside top 5 run right now, but he's been inside the top 5, and the car's definitely running much better than it has all season long. So Michael Rich looks like they're finally getting on top of it and turning the tables here in the Pro Cup Series.
Get a look at the Naturally Fresh Foods leaderboard with 40 to go tonight at Concord. Shane Huffman, meantime, had been up in the top 3 and 4 all night long in the 84 car after starting in the outside pole spot here tonight, but looks as though he's finished for the evening. He's with Doug Rice.
Shane Huffman started the day off great. He qualified on the outside pole, but you had to come in early here, Shane. What put you out?
It appears something broke in the rear end. Not exactly sure what. Just riding along in fourth, running service down for third. You know, the Genio Turkey Store Ford was awesome tonight. We started the race a little tight and backed up a little bit, but these guys made a heck of a stop and made a bunch of adjustments. We just, I don't know, you know, we haven't had any mechanical failures all year, and this is just, or of this nature anyway. This just aggravating, you know, heading into the championship races. But, you know, we wasn't going to gain anything in points tonight anyway, but we wasn't racing for points. We were just trying to come win the race.
Shane Huffman behind the wall here. The yellow flag out now for rain here at Concord.
So on lap 216, our 7th caution of the night, and Gene Crane, this is one we've been waiting for quite a while. The weather starting to be a factor here at Concord.
Well, I tell you, there are some teams that have been waiting for it, but these folks that are here in the grandstand area, this is definitely what they did not want to see. A little bit of precipitation getting a little bit heavier, just enough to where the officials feel like they cannot race safely under green.
And we'll be back at Concord. Back on Speed Channel, coverage of the Hooters Pro Cup Series. Tonight, the Jackaroo Sauces 250, presented by the Genio Turkey Store. With Gene Crane, I'm Rick Benjamin, Doug Rice on pit road. And the field under caution, and now the red flag coming out because of the weather here on lap 216. A reminder, next up, the start of the 5 championship races to settle the 2002 Hooters Pro Cup title. The Alan Kulwicki Memorial Naturally Fresh Dressings 250. It's Sunday afternoon coming up at Winchester Speedway in Indiana, the 22nd of September, 1:30 Eastern Time. Get your tickets and head out there to see the Hooters Pro Cup stars in action. Let's get it back downstairs to Doug Rice.
Blake, you were calling the shots for Clay Rogers tonight. He drove a great race, but it looks like the rain might have showed up 15 laps too late for you guys.
Yeah, but it's we needed about 15 laps. But I'm really proud of these guys. I'm really proud of Clay. He drove his wheels off that thing. The car wasn't perfect, but he made it really good for a long time. And the crew did an excellent job. That's why we led so many laps. And I'm just proud. I can't say enough. Clay really did a good job.
Great effort tonight. I'll let you get out of the rain.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed at all. Good run. Solid second.
Blake Bainbridge, he was calling the shots tonight for Clay Rogers. It looks like they'll settle for a second here tonight.
Well, still under red flag conditions. Bobby Gill out of his race car congratulating Clay on their great battle. Now, Gill faces an interesting challenge in the 5 championship races coming up. Even though he's dominated the South, he and Brian Ross will start off neck and neck in the points chase for the overall title.
That's right. They'll be tied for the point lead going into Winchester. 40-point advantage over the second place tie. As we head to those 5 championship races, you can see the point breakdown, a 25-point bonus for being your division champion.
The top 30 cars in the North and the South eligible, so 60 drivers with the potential to be at Winchester to compete for what, 36 spots?
Well, actually, it'll be 40 spots for the starting grid at Winchester. In fact, everywhere in the 5 championship series, with the exception of Peach State. That will be a 36-car starting field.
And we'll cover the 5 championship events for you here on Speed. We'll be back.
USAR Hooters Pro Cup Racing, brought to you by Hooters, the cure for the common restaurant. Try Jackaroo Sauces at your next cookout. Jackaroo is served in America's finest backyards. Miller Lite. Grab a Miller Lite. It is Miller time. And Lucas Oil, the official lubricant of USAR.
Welcome back to Concord Motorsports Park. Coverage of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series here on Speed. The red flag waved a few moments ago, and the race has been called official, and Bobby Gill has gone to victory lane. He's with Doug.
Bobby Gill has found his way to the makeshift victory lane here at Concord Motorsports Park as he scores his 13th feature win this year. And Bobby, a little bit rain short, but your team really came on in the closing laps of this race tonight.
Yeah, they did. We got beat out of the pits there, but the car was awesome tonight on the longer runs. The longer it run, the better the car got. And I mean, Clayton did hit me. I think we were like 5 laps side by side, and that was a great run right there. It was fun out there racing like that. But I got to thank all the people that helped me: Triple Diamond Enterprise, our Aviation, Charlotte Auto Wholesale, Carrera Shocks, Keith Thornton, Billy Hess. I mean, there's a bunch of people that's helped us out this year on this car that, you know, these are names missing too, but there's so many of them here today.
Now, Bobby, does this sort of set the table as you guys get ready for the championship drive and those all-important 5 races that follow this one here in Concord?
Well, we just got to get past this 13th win here and get that off our back. You know, unlucky 13, but I mean, you know, we come here and tested, and the car we brought to test was the one we're going to take to Winchester next week, and so we made little changes on this car here from what we've done with that car, and we just want to come out of Winchester with the top 3 there and go to those next big racetracks so we can race.
Another race where you completed every lap. The crew seemingly puts an indestructible machine under you.
Well, I mean, you know, I got to thank Keith Dorton, building the motors, Tiger rear ends. They built these new rear ends. They come out with these last 2 years. They've been working awesome for us. Johnny Hightower on the transmission. You know, we ain't had no failure all year long on parts, so you know, you got to be pretty lucky for that.
So Bobby Gill ready to roll out of Concord and roll like a steamroller heading into those final 5 races that make up the championship season.
Rick, I don't know what you think, but 13 wins, I don't see how any driver can feel like that's been unlucky.
No, 11 for 14 in the south, 2 for 2 in the north. We show you the final results tonight of the Jackaroo Sauces 250, range short to 222 laps. Michael Rich, Mike Herman finishes 11th. Rodney Childers, Medlin, J.P. Morgan, and Larry Wilcox rounding out the top 15. Marlowe and Mullis, who's in that early wreck. Studer, who had problems. Gordon and Don Satterfield, who was at the tail end of the lead lap for a long time. Shane Huffman ran in the top 5 before rear-end troubles knocked him out. Joe Harrison, Stacy Puryear, who was in an early incident. Robbie Ferguson's car caught fire briefly. Toby Robertson, Kevin Love rounding out the first 30. Great night for Clay Rogers. From the pole, he led a lot of laps, finishes 2nd tonight.
It's a little bit crowded at our tent party here tonight at Concord as all of the top finishers have gathered under this tent as the race was cut short on lap 222 because of rain. Clay, we talked to you before it was officially called. Great run tonight, and what a battle there for a half a dozen laps with Bobby Gill.
Yeah, we had a heck of a battle going before the monsoon set in, and it's not going to let up, so I hate to see a race shortened, especially at my home racetrack. But, hey, it was good racing. We came home 2nd, just a little bit short. I know where we could have made our car better, and that's the main thing for the next time we come back here. We'll have a better race car, and as long as you can come away from a race and learn something and learn how to make your race car better, then it's not all bad. Come home 2nd at home track in front of a decent crowd that came out to fight the weather with us, so good to have a good run.
It was a good race, unfortunately shortened by rain, but we head next Sunday afternoon to start the championship series, and you can see Brian Ross and Bobby Gill tied for the point lead with what essentially breaks down to be a series of 30 ties throughout the entire structure, heading into that first of 5 championship runs.
$1 million up for grabs for all the drivers in the series will be in action. Our W.J. Plevins Investments Hard Charger Award tonight to Larry Wilcox, who ran from 28th on the grid to 15th when the checkers finally flew. Your Southern Pride Racing Lap Leader Award to Bobby Gill, the race winner. He led 151 of the 222 laps we ran tonight. And our Miller Lite Rookie of the Race, the 4-car, Shane Wallace, started 6th, finished 5th, had a great night, and Doug Rice is ready to talk to Mr. Wallace.
Shane Wallace had an extremely interesting night here tonight. Shane, there was a brief time during the race that if the rain had came just a little bit earlier and a little bit heavier, you might be celebrating in victory lane and not Bobby Gill.
Yeah, you know, it really would have been nice, you know, but finishing 5th, we've had some ups and downs tonight. I got into the 11 car. It was a rookie mistake. I didn't mean to do that. I apologize. I'm sure I'll talk to him later about that and we can get this stuff cleared up. But, yeah, we've had an interesting night. We've led a couple of laps and we got the 5 bonus points. We got rookie of the race, extra $1,000. My crew chief, Darren Shaw, my father, the owner of the race car tonight, they've all done a good job tonight. And we've walked away with a top 5 finish, and that's really what we've expected to do tonight.
Well, he's the rookie champion, so to speak, of the Southern Division. This is how they'll stack up for the rookie points, all looking for that $10,000 Miller Lite Rookie of the Year honor here at the Pro Cup Series.
Of course, Brian Ross dominated the North Tour with 5 wins, and he is far in front of Roger Blackstock in the overall standings, but it's been a great year, certainly, for Shane Wallace, and a very good night here tonight. Well, the weather shortening this race earlier than we planned. The crew's loading these machines up, many of them planning to head to Winchester next Thursday night at 9 Eastern. Coverage of the Alan Kulwicki Memorial 250 lapper that starts the championship series of 5 races to close out the 2002 season. All the USAR Pro Cup news you need at our website, usarprocup.com. All the motorsports news you need at speedtv.com, available to you 24/7. Our at-track communications are provided by Racing Electronics. A good night at Concord for Clay Rogers, a great night for Bobby Gill. For Gene Crane and Doug Rice, I'm Rick Benjamin. Thanking you for watching tonight and congratulating our winner here at Concord Motorsports Park, Bobby Gill, for the 11th time this season. We'll see you next Thursday night here on Speed.